Welcome to West USA Weekly, the podcast, your go-to source for everything real estate in Phoenix, Arizona. We're breaking down market trends, local insights, and the moves that matter most to Valley agents. Interviews, tips, and the latest from one of Arizona's top brokerages, all in one place. Let's dive in.
Good morning, West USA. Welcome to another edition of our West USA Monday morning podcast, our post-Thanksgiving edition. This is it. Yeah. The last month of 2025. So we're here this morning to help you make it count.
I just have to say, bear down to all my U of A brethren. It was a great game on Friday, everybody.
Yeah, the gang from the Dirty T showed up.
Great game.
All right. You're already officially in a timeout. You started
I've been
early
excited
this
about
morning.
that since Friday night.
All right, a little sneak peek of what we got coming up today. Of course, Todd Menard's here to give us a look at the numbers. Matt Baker with the Bookspan Baker team going to give us our mortgage minute. And I'm going to give you 3 tips to leveraging the month of December, end strong, and get ready for 2026. And, of course, we have conversations with Claudia. And, as always, if you got any comments or questions, you can always email us at podcast@westusa.com. All right, let's jump into the announcements. A free lunch and learn. Everything you need to know about mold inspection and odor removal essentials. So I've already reached out to these guys and to see what they can do about Nick's car. Let's get the odor out. All right, so that is, let's see, when is that? That's tomorrow.
Yeah,
All right, tomorrow 12 to 1 o'clock. All right, so make sure you get signed up for that. And I think what class? Where's that at?
I don't know. It doesn't have it doesn't have an address on it. That's definitely not a Haley.
All right, so just show up to your office, and there's a 1 in 7th chance because I'm sure the Goodyear office is still closed, right?
That is correct.
Just show up.
1 in 7. Yeah.
All right, so and as always, all of our events can be found on the West USA calendar. Just go to your dashboard, or if you're not with West USA, just go to westusa.com or westusacalendar.com.
There you go.
All right, React starts. If you're newer to West USA and want to get more acquainted with all of our technology, we start our 3-day React training starting tomorrow at 9 o'clock. There's a ton of different classes, different offerings. So again, just go to your calendar and sign up for whatever you feel like, what you need. Todd's got 3 hours of fair housing CE credits this Wednesday. This is a virtual class, so you can do it from the confines of your own home. All right, so why are we picking on Canada here?
I'm not sure.
We like them.
This is not a Haley either. I don't know.
All right, so 3 hours of legal issues. This is going to be at the Scottsdale office Thursday from 1 to 4 p.m., all about FERPTA. And if you're going, what is FERPTA, then this is the class for you.
Sure.
So
Yeah, probably the first check mark is reason why they have the maple leaves on.
Yeah, all right. Learn why the Canadians are cashing out. I think we got an idea. All right, later on this morning at 10:30, we have our new agent orientation, so it's not too late to get signed up for that if you're new to West USA or never attended one of our new agent orientations. This is our opportunity to help you get acquainted with West USA, all the technology, products, and support that we offer our agents. All right, this Friday, Claudia, who will be here this morning from 2 to 4 p.m., is doing her monthly meetup, the first Friday of every single month. This one's going to be at the North Phoenix office. So if you're not sure how to use Dashboard, Transaction Desk, or the MLS, well, good luck to you. Or show up Friday, and Claudia will answer all of your questions. All right, we today, right?
Yes.
Today. All right. So every month.
Wednesday.
Wednesday. All right. This Wednesday. So every month we bring in Sam Horn from Zillow, who does a training and a Q&A. We'll answer all your questions about Zillow Showcase, one of the premier offerings that we have available to us from Zillow when it comes down to showcasing our listings. Mm-hmm. All right, Nick, it's back. We're so excited.
Yeah, buddy.
All right. Boys Burger Club is back. We are celebrating 8 years. But more importantly, we are supporting Hanging On to Hope. We are collecting blankets for a lot of people who are victims of domestic violence. And, man, $10, you're going to get a burger, fries, and a soda.
I don't know. I haven't seen a $10 deal like that in a minute.
I sent them an email and I said, okay, because the last year it was $9.95, and I go, any changes? She goes, yeah, we raised our prices to $10. I'm like, okay, are you sure? I wasn't sure. But anyways, just go to boysburgerclub.com, get signed up for it. It's going to be a great time, great burgers, and just great hanging out. All right, Todd, take it away. What's going on in the market?
That. Wow, how do you follow food and hamburgers and the Boys Burger
Well, you
Club?
could bring food.
Well, or a blanket, right? Probably.
Okay, now make me feel bad.
Okay, thanks everybody. Thanks for joining us today. Welcome to December. Today is December 1st, and today we're going over the Greater Phoenix Metropolitan Market statistics for the week ending December 1st. Here we go. 81 days closed on market this past week, a 4.6 month supply. Absorption rate was at 21.62. Average list price this past week, $762,014. Average sale price this past week, $563,089. And our list price to sale price retention at 97.71. Active inventory, this is not a mistake. We only have 24,928 properties available. That's down 4.5% week over week. Pending is sitting at 3,516 and closed units for the month of November. However, this has not yet been vetted, is 5,389. Looking at new listings taken this past week, you can tell the holidays are upon us. 1,125 units is all, down 40% from the prior period. Days on market for active is at 92 and closed at 81. Looking at the lower left-hand side price ranges, you'll see every category other than the $5 million and up took a contraction this past week. And so that brings our total $0 to $600,000 market to 74% of the entire MLS. 600 to 1 million is at 18.60 and 1 million and up at 13.66. So taking a look at the spreadsheet across now, last time we did our market stats was right before Thanksgiving, so that was November 17th. So we're really looking kind of at a 2-week period, but it is still a week-over-week analysis. So new listings taken was 1,125, down again 40%. Now, if we slide our eyes again, you know I do this all the time. In the very center of the chart, we have the same period last year and the same period the year before that. So we took 1,388 listings in 2023. Last year, we only took 1,089. If there's any good lining, it's a little bit more than we took the prior period. So the market is still somewhat similar to what it was last year. Looking at 24,928 available active properties, again, down from 26,095. Why? Well, again, we're just not replacing the inventory at 1,125 per month. We've shrunk this active inventory from 38% more product than we had 2 years ago to now only 14%. And that's, again, because there's more buyers coming back into the marketplace. We haven't, let me go back there. The buyers are actually back in the market. So 408 of those properties are in the coming soon category, 18,611 in the single family detached, 2,730 new home construction, 24,499 non-distressed. And again, we report the distressed inventory on the monthly webinar, but we don't do it during week over week. So looking at pending, these are the buyers, the average number of buyers in the market at any one time. It's really the number of properties in escrow, obviously, without those. But again, the point here is we look at this to kind of use as a barometer for, are there more buyers in the marketplace today than there were before? So just week over week, we've dropped a few, but 3,811 last week was still pretty strong. We were only at 3,045 people in the market last year, so 500 more people are in escrow right now than the same time last year. Look at the year before, 2,630. So we're at 900 more properties in escrow than we were 2 years ago. So, the market did come back after the summer market, as we thought might happen. And we finished November very strong. So we'll get the actual numbers, but it looks like it's going to be about a 2.9% increase in the prior year. So if you look at the green in this red box, you look at the green all the way across to the right, you'll see basically from September, and it actually goes back to August, we've been in a positive, having closed more product than we did the year before, than we did last year. So again, good sign that market did finally come back. We didn't get it in April, May, and June, but we did get it in August, September, October. And again, remember, closed numbers usually take about a 30-day 30-day lag because of the fact that what you close this month typically was written last month or at the very beginning of this month. So again, when you're looking at closed activity, you got to kind of remember that closed activity is really what took place 3 to 4 weeks ago, not really today. But again, it does show that, what you started finished. 4.63 is the month's supply, again, continuing to drop. We were to 4.23 last year. So again, we're closer to 5, 4.5, and 5. And remember, 4 and under is what? Oh, yeah, a seller's market. 6 and over is a buyer's market. We're nowhere near 6, and we haven't been, so 4.6. The market's reacting as though it's a somewhat of a buyer's market, and buyers agents and buyers are thinking that it is. So they are getting some emblements by going in and picking those properties that are longer days on market. But you saw the days on market, and you're going to see it just again in a second. It's basically almost the same as our active inventory. So active inventory is turning at the same rate as sold inventory. And what we're basically seeing there is that that means that the inventory is fresh. It's not old. That's out there. Median price this past week, $449,990. It was $450 the week before, $434 a year ago. So again, we're staying in that $10,000 difference in valuation over a year over year. And then the final number is the list price to sale price retention at 97.71. We were at 97.41. We're 97.81, which is really right on the number last year. But all of December usually means that the prices sell for what would be considered, typical. An average 2% negotiation is what sellers have been expecting, and these results are saying that sellers are paying a 2% negotiation, at least in the last 2 months. So this is something to take into consideration when you're packaging your buyer. So that's the numbers for this week, Mike.
I appreciate it as always, and we're going to slide it on down to Matt Baker. Be careful with him; he's only got one arm today.
That's right.
So,
Ow! All right, I'm ready. Let's talk about rates because week over week they've actually improved, and if you look at month over month from when I was here last, they've come down about 0.25%. So that's a good sign. I mean, they're firmly in the low 6s. I mean, yes, you can get a rate in the 5s. It's going to cost money. Remember, it's not the rate that changes every day. It's the cost of the rate. That's what ebbs and flows. And so you would see that you could get a rate into the 5s. You may even see advertised rates in the 5s. Again, that's just going to come with points, which is prepaid interest, buying the rate down over the period. You can see kind of where we were last month. I put the blue arrows there. Green means rates improved. Red means rates got worse. So we kind of dipped a little bit lower in thinking the Fed wasn't going to do anything in December. Now, no, they might. And so you never know. That's been tracking better. And why? Well, the big thing is the jobs report. And this is September because we haven't gotten much new data released. We did get this September report that they finally put out when they went back to work. And you can see that unemployment rate run up on 4.4, but look at the steady climb since June. That's what's got the Fed nervous. You can see they also revised July and August revisions down another 33,000. So it's really hard to pin what really true unemployment or what really true job gains are happening right now based on this ebbing and flowing and this revisions that occur. But here's the bottom line. That and I've heard many Fed members say that it's going to be about jobs more than it's going to be about inflation. And they're like, well, why? Well, the jobs is harder to create. And so if you let it go so long that it's going to be hard to recover as fast. Inflation, you can step on rates and step up rates, and that slows things down almost in a easier to predict. Where if the jobs goes down, you're at your trouble trying to recoup that and trying to get the energy back. And so that's what I'm holding on to, that rates will be better in the near term. Because if the Fed does lower rates in December, whether they do or don't, it's an anticipation of what they're going to do that's going to move rates lower between now and then, which may help with some refinance activity and also getting some buyers off the fence. A couple news and notes, just conventional loan amounts. This is that time of year. Remember, we said it was 819. Well, we kind of undershot that. 832,750 is what the new conventional loan limit would be. So you could do 5% down if you just reverse the math. 860-ish, 865, and you can buy yourself a 5% down loan. Not bad. Now, just remember, FHA doesn't happen until January. I'm anticipating that number to come out this week. My projection, based on the math, it's probably in the 563 range, which would be great. You can, versus where we were 546 this year. So it's definitely moving up, and it usually moves up in concert with what Freddie and Fannie do, and that's 832,750 for the year. And then the top reasons people are buying homes today, I just thought, what can I put out there that I think you can see why are people moving? And I wanted to point to, do you see anything in there that says the top reason people are buying homes today is because of a rate? And I think it's because we've made rates such the focal point for every buyer. And even though that's just one piece of a loan payment, that's just one piece of the equation, it's not the total equation. And so I'm really on the pulpit or the box saying, hey, let's make it about all the other reasons why. It's, the 100 other reasons to buy and sell real estate, not about the rate, because rate will ebb and flow. And gosh, if you think of anybody, you poll anybody, and I've talked to so many buyers, they think rates are going to be lower next year. But if you wait, are there going to be more or less properties available? And I think the answer is less. And so why wait? And so that's really my messaging. But again, just a good news note. And then when you think about Guild Mortgage, and I don't really come up and do a lot of commercials, but we have over 280 different loan options. And I would tell you, if you're not taking advantage of reverse loans or what I call entrepreneur loans, those are like bank statements, alternative 1099, different asset-based loans, you're missing out. And so if you get a buyer that's only looking inside one box, which is the Fannie Freddie box, you're missing a big potential of opportunity. Investors right now, they write off a lot. That's the benefit of being a self-employed. But these entrepreneur loans, there is like a lot of options available. I mean, I'm doing rates on entrepreneur loans in the 6s. Yeah. I mean, they used to be in the 9s and 8s, and now they're in the 6s. So there's lots of options there. And then, of course, you've got all the other stuff, cash flow investor loans, equity loans, bridge loans, and so forth. So, reach out if you have questions. That's my contact card. You can always take a picture of it, save it for your phone, and I'm happy to answer all of those questions.
I appreciate it, Mac. Awesome. Good stuff. Yeah, a lot of great loan programs. That's why I don't like going to the big box banks. I mean, they got 2 loan programs, 3 conventional,
and they're not consultative, right? They're just going to give you what you think you want versus what you need.
Yeah. All right, appreciate it, Matt. All right, we're going to jump into our 3-pack. It is December, and for a lot of people, it's a slower time, and it doesn't mean that you take the foot off the pedal. It doesn't mean you don't work. But I'm going to give you some tips to really leveraging the. I didn't change the title there. So that's don't worry about before they sign the buyer broker agreement. I thought I got everything today. But anyways, so really it does come down to taking advantage of the month of December of leveraging your CRM. This is the time for CRM cleanup, organization. And so what we should be doing is, today's December 1st, and say, the goal for the month of December is to make sure that every single person in our CRM is getting contacted somehow and some way, and then we build what those strategies look like. So it's a great time to, go through all the contacts, clean up, go, oh man, I meant to call that person 3 months ago, and so forth, and make your updates. Just go through and make your updates, add tags if you need to add tags, create new tags if you need to create tags. And those people that you think, as I go through the list, those people that I think that really got a great shot at transacting in 2026, I'm just going to set up a task reminder of, I'm going to still reach out to them for December. It's the holidays and so forth. But I am going to specifically set up a task for January or February, say, okay, I need to reach out to this person. We need to have a conversation about real estate, and we need to start building that plan.
Yes, you can use this as a tool for the reason why you need to contact people as well. So in other words, hi, I'm cleaning up my, I hate to say it this way, but hey, I'm cleaning up my database. No, I want to reach out to you, make sure none of the contact information has changed, anything in your life has changed. It's just really an opportunity for me to say thank you for your business, and kind of wishing you into a new year coming up ahead of us. If there's anything I can do for you, don't hesitate to give me a call. But I want to make sure I still have all the proper contact information for you. At one example from that perspective. The other thing is also, are you paying attention to what they do for work? So, for instance, if someone is in your database and they're a car dealer or a car salesperson, and somebody else, works for some other type of cabinet company or something, I've always found, and this is just me, but I've always found my success was duplicative of the amount of business I sent to the people in my sphere. So if I was actively sending the people in my sphere business, then that in sales 101 is an obligatory factor of why when they think about it, go, oh, wait a minute, Todd sends me all this business. I really, do they have to? No, but it's just another sales technique to obligate the consumer to want to do business with you. But it's a great time. And then find out what the spouse does too, the other person, the significant other, because, you can win sometimes by just leveraging those types of factors.
And to that point, if you don't know birthdays, you don't know anniversaries, or you're not sure of employment, I mean, it's a good time to check back into Facebook or go onto LinkedIn and get that information that you need and input it into your CRM.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, these are things that you should be doing every single day and week. If you haven't, then this is the best month to start it. I'm not a big fan of New Year's resolutions. It just pushes down the road the things we should be doing today. There's a million reasons to be reaching out in the next 30 days. So use one of those and just start calling, start touching base, start updating your CRM system, get yourself ready to go for 2026. And this is the time to do that.
Yeah, and and it is a good point. And Nick is right. It's something that we should be doing on a daily, weekly, monthly basis. Yep. But I just can't tell you how many times people just fall through the cracks. And this is the time to collect them.
Yep.
So then what you do is you categorize each contact by how you're going to make contact. If I said I'm going to reach out to every single contact in the month of December, I've got 8,000 people in my CRM. I can't pick up the phone and call 8,000 people. Right. And so you categorize them on, who are, and I don't want to use the word most important, but who are more likely to transact, who am I closer to, as opposed to just people that maybe I met at an open house. So are you going to, if you're planning on doing pop-bys, who are you going to be popping by? Who are you going to, in the month of December, actually pick up the phone and call? Who is it that you're just going to simply maybe just send a text message, happy holidays, or email, a newsletter or something? I'm not big on newsletters, but email. But I know a lot of agents do emailing something through your CRM. I mean, I could hit 7,500 in a very short time in my CRM system by just sending out some sort of happy holidays, Merry Christmas email, and so forth. And then who are you mailing? Do you do Christmas cards? You do something in the mail, and identify what are the different strategies that you're going to use. You don't have to do all of them. You may have something different. You may be doing some sort of holiday client appreciation event, but you know how you're going to make contact with people, and then categorize everybody in your CRM so that you make sure, and this is how you make sure that you can connect and make contact with every single person in your CRM.
Totally love this one because this is probably one of the more important ones. We always talk about tracking. We always talk about, where did my business come from this past 60 days, 90 days, 120 days. It doesn't have to be this year because things change. Different resources work at different times. Maybe it's you can identify that something that's happening in somebody's life is a life event. One of your posts did better, or one of the items that you're emailing out using your CRM did better than it had been before. These are all little clues, and life gives us 86,400 seconds in a day. That's it. And how we spend it determines our success process. To Mike's earlier point, if we're spending it on just the average person who, now we're talking about business now, so let's keep business separate from, personal and spiritual and that thing. But if you're spending time with people who have no likelihood of a return on your time, stop it. Reevaluate what you're doing, so that every single moment of your life and everything that you do matters to something that's moving forward that affects you, your family, and your ability to enjoy your life.
Yeah, I mean, this breakdown, this filter is a really great way to start. But again, I think you need to. It's going to be relative to you, who you're texting, who you're calling, who you're emailing. So it's a funnel, right? The more people are going to get emailed, then the less people are going to get text, less people are going to get called, and less people are going to get popped by. Everybody should be getting Christmas cards as much as possible. You just need to get yourself out there, get your face, get your name in front of these individuals as much as possible, because you have to remember everybody else is too. How many emails did you all receive on Thursday and Friday and Saturday for Black Friday specials? I mean, my inbox was exploding. So if you're doing that right now, everybody else is doing the same thing. What are people not doing? People are not calling. They're not popping by. They're not keeping those face-to-face relationships happening. And again, it's going to be those that have a better chance of transacting. It's those that have been in the buyer field. They're looking at selling the house. Those are the ones you want to keep in contact with while you're still fishing for those that may or may not be interested the next couple of days.
Mike, you said this for years. 15. You called it the top 12, top 15,
Top 12, yeah.
top 12. We've always said who's the top 10. But again, identify the people, the ambassadors. Mike did say it, but he kind of went over it, and I was hoping he was going to slow down a little bit on it. But, what's the importance of that, of really identifying who those people are in comparison? Just in a couple of words, how can you use this to help identify those people? And
Well, to your point, Todd, you only got so much time to be with people. So for us, it's identifying who are the top 12 people in our sphere of influence that could and should be sending us referrals, who that have the ability to send us those referrals or have a proven track record. And then I take a lot of my time and systematically and invest in them. And stay in contact with them and spend time with them, rather than just every day or every week, okay, maybe I contacted this person or contact this person or contact this person. The people who are generating income for me are, besides my kids generate no income for me. But the people that generate income.
I did say, let's remove personal and spiritual from it. So
And speaking of Christmas cards, I already got Nick's Christmas card. He looked really cute sitting on St. Nick's lap. So it's going to be a good one this year.
Yes, we good.
Yeah. All right. All right. And then just execute. And again, I know if you're tuning in late, it says before they sign the BBA, it's just a placeholder for me. We were talking about how to leverage the month of December. So now that you've figured out your strategies, how you're going to be doing this, you got to time block these activities throughout the month of December. Maybe every Thursday from 9 to 1, I'm making my calls, and Fridays from 8 to 12, I'm doing my text messages. Whatever it is, you have to time block. I mean, take a look at the month of December. A lot of people are not as busy during the month of September. Business is a little slower than usual for some. And if you're in that situation, look at your calendar, because I am telling you what, you might just get busy in the month of December if you follow this plan.
Everybody else is going to sleep. They're retracting. This is when all the best. Honestly, we say this a lot, Mike. November through January, those are the best opportunities for you, because fewer agents are out there doing what they're supposed to be doing. They're using it as the excuse as to why there's no business. Well, it's the holidays. Nobody wants to show their home during the holidays. Nobody wants to sell their home during the holidays. Let me tell you something. If I need to sell my home, and it's during the holidays, I want my house looked at. I want people to buy my house. So there's more business out there than the industry will identify or tell you. It's really a super thing. Plus all those special marketing and advertising places, those placeholders, those banners, those, digital banners and advertising, the magazine pages, those all become available, the prime spots at discounts right now. So don't stop. Keep going.
I've written a lot of contracts on Christmas Eves and New Year's Eves.
You have.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the topic for the next week or two. It's just, those buyers that are actually looking at homes at this time of the year are more opt to buy right now. Those sellers are going to have less competition in the marketplace just because there's less listings hitting the inventory. So if you're the agent out there grinding and having those conversations, and we have the delayed listing marketing document or whatever, the new AAR document, I'm sure Claudia will touch on it. So you can get people ready to rock and roll and they can start marketing 1st of January, but you're getting them ready to go. These are the conversations you should be having. Everybody else is taking a break for the next 30 days. You should be pushing the gas as hard as you can.
Yep.
And I will just say this from experience of as an agent and as a coach and someone who's trained agents, if you do not time block these activities,
It won't happen.
it won't get done.
Yep.
It won't. All right. Appreciate it.
Good one, Mike.
Gents. All right. So moving on, speaking of Claudia, we got a new slide for you. Look at that.
Yeah.
Look at that. Haley showed up.
I love it.
Yeah, so you got so now this is the permanent title of your segment. There's no
Nice.
going back and no
Conversations
changes.
with Claudia. I love it. Got it.
And if your photo, nobody's going to mess with you with your eyes.
It
in that
looks
photo.
pretty serious, right?
That's like do this or be out of here.
Thank you, J.C. Penney's. Love it.
All righty. Well, we appreciate you joining us today, and hope you and your family had a wonderful Thanksgiving.
We did. Thank you for having me. I loved it. It was great. We had a lot of kiddie time. My husband did a new playground in the backyard for the kids, so all the grandkids and the cousins' kids came, and that's what we did the entire day. After we ate, we all went outside and just watched them, their little faces. It was just so much fun.
You
It was
shouldn't
real
have said that on the podcast. Nick's going to be over there this evening.
Well,
All right. So as we get into what we're going to talk about, I know you had sent this over to me, and so let's chat about this first.
yeah, so this is highly recommended for our agents to attend. There's been a lot of administrative code rules and changes. Some things just more heightened than others. So it's always a good reminder for our agents and any agent out there. If you have time, click on this register. Our broker team is going to be present. We have a lot of things going on these next 2 weeks, but this is important. I think people need to take some time to look at what's changed, what's being highlighted, and again, just be in the know. If one thing that I can tell agents is to find out, get involved. And this is, I mean, they're giving you the information. We all got the same email in AAR's blast, but very few of us take the time to actually look at what they're sending out. So
What
I
are some of
encourage
the
everyone.
highlights of some of the changes or?
Well, they're going to go over a bunch of different things. I really don't want to point out specifics because it'll start new conversations, and I really want people to hear it from the horse's mouth, right? Hear it directly from them, and I want them to be able to take that in, and then if they have questions or something, we can address it on a brokerage level. But I do think that agents need to hear it directly from AAR.
Okay, so we got and I just want to point out, I know if Brock is listening, he's tapping the register here thing on his computer, and having a hard time. So all you have to do is just email us at podcast@westusa.com. If you'd like some more information, or just go, I'm sure you just go to AAR and you can find.
Or reach out to your office too, because we are encouraging our offices to post it on their Facebook pages because it is important and it is something for all agents.
Oh, just real quick. So this is ADRE Administrative Code updates. The last time that ADRE did this substantial round of updates has been years. So please tell your friends, tell other people in the industry. The constant thing we hear is, when did this change? It changed now, and we're telling you before you have to deal with it. So please pay attention to these types of things when they come up.
All right, so what do you got on our list?
Okay, so there's a couple of things. I obviously want to remind everybody about React. So you mentioned it earlier, and yes, so for new agents, it's a must. But it's also really good for seasoned agents like yourself, Mike. So it's really, really good to attend if you can. We cover lots of things. The new owner's delayed marketing and election addendum, we cover that. We cover when it's going to be applicable. So we go over a bunch of different things and making sure you include that in your template. If your listing template doesn't have that owner's delayed marketing election addendum, you're missing something. And again, we don't want to put our agents in a situation where they're not prepared. That's what we're here for, is to prepare them. As a broker team, we love to get the phone calls. We love to get the emails because that means our agents are finding out the information for their clients. That's best practice for the consumer. That's saying you're going to provide the utmost information and guidance to those clients. And that's what we're looking for. So yeah, it's something that I want to make sure people are aware that React is not only for the new,
Yeah.
but it's also for the veteran agents. And if you haven't done a deal in a little while, it's really good to catch up and see how that works. We also have the blood drive, so I want to kind of go over that next Monday here at the corporate office. Giving blood is more than just something you may need to do medically. A lot of people need to medically, right? But if you have too much of that turkey grease, going on right now, come on, replenish. I mean, give blood. It really, I joke, but it's really important.
Give it to somebody else.
Give it to somebody else.
Yeah, I donate cholesterol, not blood.
I already know you're not on the list. But it is very important to put yourselves out there and think about our community. A lot of people are struggling in many different ways, right? It could even just be a conversation, to, reaching out, like you said, to your contacts, to your sphere of influence. Those VIP clients, those clients that do return, just a phone call to them, even just to see how they're doing. And yes, leveraging your time and contacting those who are going to give you either that support, encouragement during the holidays, or even some business.
Yep.
Those are people you want to invest your time into.
Invite them to give blood also.
Right. And this is why the blood drive is great, because you can bring up real estate without bringing up real estate to your contacts. You can say, hey, I wanted to see how you're doing. Yeah, well, you know what? Maybe you should come out and give blood. I'd love to see you on Monday. Yeah, it's at my office, West USA. You've just brought up your profession, what you do, the fact that you care for the community, and you would love to catch up. That's great.
And you know what? They're pretty much just held prisoner there. They're laying in bed. They got a needle in their arm, and they're getting a PowerPoint presentation whether they like it or they don't.
Here's
Right?
a VR headset. Put this on.
But when you love what you do, you talk about it a lot, right? My husband's a woodworker, so he's constantly talking to people about wood, and I'm like, honey, I love you, but I don't think anyone cares about that new, zebra wood that you're working on. Like that's just not something that everyone wants to talk about. But again, if your passion is helping people, Mike, your team does a lot for the community and helping people, and I think that's very, very important.
Yeah. All right. So let's get into some scenarios. I know over the last month, I call you here and there, and so thought maybe we just benefit everybody just with the questions that have popped up with my team. One of them is I got a signed buyer broker exclusive agreement with a client. Okay, and now we're under contract on a house. But during the escrow period, the buyer broker agreement expires. Mm-hmm. Do I need to extend it, get a new buyer broker agreement, or does the fact that I had an executed buyer broker agreement at the time of the executed contract, that suffices?
Okay, so for that transaction, it suffices. You were under an agreement for employment with that client, right? At the time of writing the offer. So you're covered there. Your agency is stated, your employment agreement still stands. However, should something happen during that escrow, which we hope it doesn't, but should it, you would want to pick up your BBA and move on to another. Because if it expires, you then have to get another BBA agreement and then head back out. So I always like to say, think about that. If your expiration date's coming up, talk about it with your client. Hey guys, I know we're closing escrow next week, but our BBA expires, our employment agreement expires today. Hopefully you don't call the same day, you give it some time, and you say, hey, let's get this under agreement again. If you feel comfortable with it, I think it's a good idea. Should something happen, then our agreement continues, it lives on. We can pick up that BBA and move on and not miss out on the next big deal.
Okay. All right. Next scenario, and we may have covered it with either Kyle or Dwayne. I'm not 100% sure, but I know you and I had a conversation about it. So I have a buyer broker agreement signed with Todd and Lynn, and they've agreed on the buyer broker agreement to write in 3 bananas on the buyer broker agreement. Sure. Okay. We go out and negotiate. Seller, I'm only able to negotiate 2 bananas from the seller. So now I got this 1 banana left over, and Todd and Lynn have agreed out of their proceeds, or not their proceeds, out of their pocketbook, they are going to make up that difference, and they're going to come to the closing table with that extra banana. What is the process? Because we kind of, we had someone who didn't do the paperwork all the way through, didn't notify title, but what is the proper funnel for that?
Okay, well, you already have there's 2 different compensation agreements there, all right? You have your buyer broker agreement, which is between you and the buyer client. Mm-hmm. that is an agreement. So that 1% is covered in that agreement. That's already spoken for. Whether you hold them to it or not, that's completely up to you. But that's great. The seller has already agreed to cover the 2% in the transaction. So that transaction has already accommodated for the 2%, the 2 bananas, right? The other leftover 1 banana would be paid by the buyer. And the only thing you need to do is then fill out your commission instructions that states that.
But that was the question. How does that money at the end of the day get to the broker? Do they show up and have a check made payable to West USA? Is title collecting it? Is it going through title, or can I have Todd and Lynn just show up with a cashier's check made out to Mike?
So the commission instructions would state 3%. A lot of them say now seller, buyer. So you can put the 2% seller, 1% buyer. But that is your commission instructions to title for your 3 bananas. Okay, those bananas would get collected at closing. So in the transaction, it's part of a buyer cost because our compensation is in the transaction. No matter which way you swing it, it's either going to be a final number for the buyer or a final number for the seller. That's why it's always been a negotiation, even though we may not have seen it before. Now we see all the bananas. So it's all in the negotiations. And again, you can run it through title because they're going to be the ones collecting those funds. Just like they release the proceeds to the seller, they're going to collect the funds from the buyer as part of their buyer fees.
Yeah, the appropriate way is to do it through the transaction. The other portion of the appropriate way is to ensure that you give your buyer broker exclusive employment agreement to escrow so that they can use that as well. And then again, any other addendums that you might have had to that exclusive buyer broker agreement. But you do want it to go through. Now, remember this, the law specifically states in the state of Arizona that you have to be paid through your broker. So no other venue, no other side check, cash, whatever it is, it all has to go through the broker. And in your duties as a licensee, any monies that have to do with that transaction, you're required to have them show up on the settlement statement, the final settlement statement. That is part of your accountability and of accounting to your client, just like escrow money. You'd have to make sure. So yeah.
So and that's a good point because that's where we fell short in this process that title never received a copy of our buyer broker agreement, and so they're like, what the heck?
You just have to be careful because when you do that too, let's say you do amend your buyer broker agreement. That is between you and the client. You do want to let the client know, hey, title's asking for this, if they're okay with that being released. Again, if you have questions on it, I do advise you to reach out to your broker team. Hopefully you have one as great as ours. But reach out to us so we can kind of talk about it because a lot of it depends on scenarios. But yes, you can't expect your compensation to just poof coming out of the air, right? You have to either negotiate it, put it in writing, and submit it to somebody somehow so that you can get paid. I did want to cover the as is. So we have a lot of agents that call in and say they would like to write as is into the contract. So the AAR purchase contract already is as is. This is something Dwayne wanted us to talk about a little bit because he's gotten quite a few of these. So when a property, it states, the property is being sold as is, but it says in its present physical condition. That's on the AAR purchase contract. So in the present condition, if anything, therefore, is going to be fixed or repaired, then that can be a request as normal. But for example, if we have a seller client and our seller wants it to be an as-is contract, that's fine. They can remove the due diligence lines, which makes it, that a buyer can cancel, but they're not going to be requesting repairs. So again, you want to be careful with that. He said lines 274 through 284 can be deleted, but that doesn't delete the due diligence. So it's really, really important to understand. They may not, it may be written that they can't ask for those repairs, but they still have the option to cancel.
So here's the big thing that everybody needs to really watch out for. Anytime you put a pen to that contract, you modify the contract. And what you put in writing, typically in the additional terms, takes precedence over some of the boilerplate. But the problem with a statement like as is, property sold as is, that is duplicating words that are already in the terms and conditions of the contract, that would mean what you're writing takes precedence, which will cause confusion in a court of law. And so it's not like, well, I was only referring to that other. It doesn't matter. Anything you write changes. Like years ago, Mike, remember when we used to write earnest money is non-refundable upon the expiration of the inspection period?
Yeah.
And we all learned that is the absolute worst language you could potentially ever use, because there's so many other parts of that contract that take precedence also, like federal law. So, these are just something like that. Be very, very careful.
Right. And if you haven't taken time to read through the contract, read through it, see what you're trying to alter.
Stop it.
Yeah. You got to read. But yeah, so that was one we wanted to talk about.
I want to spend a minute or two on this, because I love these situations.
Okay.
Because I love it when a seller or a listing agent says, hey, we're going to send over a counter and you're buying it in as-is condition. Because I know that it doesn't mean that I can't ask for repairs. They think, and it's what agents think as-is means.
Right.
Yes.
And so when an agent says, we're selling this in as-is condition, in their mind, what they're saying is, don't ask for repairs. So I gladly and happily will put in an as-is, and then they get really mad when that Binzer comes over, but not my fault you don't understand the contract,
Right.
because it doesn't. In my understanding, the only way or the proper way to truly buy something in as-is condition is when we submit the offer, we also submit the Binzer. And requested. That right there removes the inspection period, and now I'm truly, and that's where I want my clients go down that road.
Yeah, you have to be very careful. So there's a lot of things that come into play. Buyer's remorse. That's huge. Once they start looking at, the different things, maybe they should have already done the non-physical inspections and looked at distance from the work and local doctors or things like that, right? So they should have already done that homework. Hopefully you have buyers that are engaged, because that is called buyer due diligence for a reason. Again, there's many reasons that someone may want to cancel. Things happen in life. You could have a buyer that says, that's the house I want. I'm waiving this. I'm waiving that. And then something happens in their life and it's like, oh, I can't buy it now. Well, you just waived everything. So be very, very cautious whenever you touch the contract. Like you said, Todd, it's very, very important that you read through it, your clients read through it. And not only that they understand it. So go over the scenarios.
So then let me ask you guys this question. So let's just say I do that. I submit an offer on behalf of my buyers, and I submit the Binzer saying that we're just accepting the property in its condition, no repairs whatsoever. Then 5 days later, I get the HOA demand letter. Do I still have the ability and the right to cancel the contract, even though I've already sent over the Binzer?
Yes. So yes, you have 5 days from disclosure of an HOA item as such for the buyer to put up a disapproval or to cancel on that term. So disclosure is very, very important. Again, you want to be very careful that clients read through it, that they know that they have the right to do that. Some people may not know that they have the right for that.
Yeah, look under the contract under the section called changes. There's two, one that falls under finance and then one that falls under due diligence. And you're looking at the one that basically anytime the seller provides new information to the buyer that was unable prior, that they didn't have the ability to review prior, any change, then the buyer, it starts at 5-day change period.
And Todd, how many times a week do you read the purchase contract? Just curious. Is this at night? Is this the bedtime stories you read to Lynn?
But I will tell you that I obviously every single time any change to a contract happens, I'm not looking for the changes. I'm looking to refresh myself on absolutely from page 1 all the way to page 10. I mean, I use it as an opportunity to go, all right, let me read through this again. I might have missed something with a little highlighter, and I go through it. Obviously, the most important stuff is the newest stuff, and everybody ought to be using the brand new purchase contract that's out that AAR has. But yeah, it's just no. Thank you, Mike. It's not really that. It's kind of like anything else. It's like, why? How does Todd remember the laws? How does Todd remember this? It's just its repetition is really like it is, just like an actor when they read a script and then have to customize it.
I can't remember the names of my dogs.
Mike,
I got 3 dogs.
You and
I
I
don't
go
remember
back
their names.
way 2009, 19, something like that, 2009. But anyway, the fact is just the same. It's just a series of repetition. But these are the things that help you understand. If a consumer asks you a question, just think about in their minds how confident they become when they hear you be able to go right to the section and be able to read it to them and why it's beneficial to them that supports a question that they may have had. That's how you demonstrate your value proposition.
I'm gonna read it this week again. That's my commitment to you guys.
You're going to come back next Monday with all these things like, wow, did you know the contract says
Did you know
this?
it said terms of acceptance?
That did change, by the way, so go look at that.
I also wanted to bring up one other. So when you get a loan denial, that happens, right?
Mm-hmm.
Something happens to your buyer client and didn't turn out right. They get a loan denial from the lender. That is great to have and send it out to title and all that good stuff and the other agent, but you still need the unfulfilled loan contingency. Again, look at the documents in your transaction desk or AAR or whatever it is that you use for your forms, because a lot of your questions like, oh, what do I need to submit? It's there. Every document has been created for a reason. Some people will say the newest thing, the unrepresented buyer. There's a lot of forms that you need. You need to address that on the purchase contract, unrepresented buyer, where it says broker on behalf of buyer. You need to provide an agency, the real estate agency disclosure and election form, to that unrepresented buyer with box 49 checked stating you work for the seller. That's a disclosure from you to that unrepresented buyer. That is between you two. You also need the unrepresented buyer disclosure document. That's between the buyer and the seller, and all parties see that. You also now need the additional clause addendum that has lines 85 through 89 that spell out buyer is unrepresented. It's making it very clear and transparent, because we are in the age of transparency, that buyer is unrepresented. Do not forget, Mr. Buyer, I work for the seller. So there's a lot of different disclosures and forms, and it may seem repetitive, but you have to remember it's the practice that protects the consumer. And the more that you as an agent get involved in creating that safe space for your client, that's that trust. That's that, okay, you are the professional. You have all these forms for a reason. So that's another thing I want to bring up.
Well, going back to the unfilled loan addendum,
Unfulfilled.
because when you obviously you submit it on behalf of your buyer, there's a lot of people that get really upset, and listing agents are upset, and the seller's upset. And I think it's important to understand, for agents to understand, 2 things. One, you are not required to provide a reason. You don't need to tell them that they lost their job or whatever the case is. You just submit a loan denial letter, right? And 2, you probably shouldn't, because you still have a fiduciary responsibility to your buyer. And I would think that disclosing sensitive information like that as to why your buyer now got denied the loan could get you in a little bit of trouble.
Yeah, and that unfulfilled loan contingency, it just states that. It's an unfulfilled loan contingency. You don't have to, the loan denial letter will sometimes go into via credit or think it might have some more explanation. Now, that listing agent can reach out to that lender and ask them information. That loan officer should be working again for their client. So there are certain things you do want to be careful of. I've had situations where we got a loan denial and the client actually disclosed, because they happen to know people in the same circle, what their situation was. 3 weeks later, they found a way to get their loan approved, wanted to come back and rewrite, and the seller said, well, no, I already know that this is possibly going to be happening with you. I don't feel comfortable accepting your offer.
That's awesome, because that is
That's awesome.
Yeah, it is. It really is. Mike, R428-1101, duties to clients, under section 2, there's a section that says that not only do you have to disclose known facts about the property, but you may also have to disclose if and this is both a seller and or a buyer related thing, so that number 1 section or number 2A is seller, number 2B is buyer. But, we get it when we know the seller may not be able to perform. That could be like a short sale, right? Seller signs the contract and they're the only ones that are required to. Buyers trying to hold them accountable to it, but they're not dealing with a seller anymore. They're dealing with a lender's account servicing. But from a buyer's perspective, do you know that if you know that there's a possibility your buyer may not be able to perform on a particular loan, then legally, this is not a good idea or anything. Legally, you would be violating R428-1101 if you failed, included before, as you sent over that offer, some statement that disclosed in writing to the seller or the listing agent that the buyer may be unable to perform. Now, that's just an easy one. I'm going to throw it out there. I can talk about it if you guys want to call me or come to one of the classes. But not many agents know that, Mike. I mean, I'm working hard to help my first-time home buyer get their loan approved. I'm on my 3rd loan attempt, maybe my 2nd lender. I'm doing everything, jumping through hoops to help them get purchased, help them get approved. I'm aware of that. And when I go to send an offer over before my buyer, so we're talking about an unfulfilled loan contingency clause here, but what we're talking about is you failed up front to notify the seller that the buyer's having difficulty obtaining financing. You have to do that in writing at the time that you present the offer. So if you've done that and then down 3 days prior to the close of escrow, you have to issue the unfulfilled loan contingency, there really shouldn't be a lot of argument from that particular perspective. And you do not, you're absolutely right, Mike, have to disclose the reason why.
But that's the importance of the AAR pre-qual form. It states on there they are required, they do need closing cost assistance. They are in a program. So that is disclosure. So when people say, oh, well, we don't really need the pre-qual, number 1, you do. Line 69 of the AAR purchase contract, that means you need it. It's required. And the buyer client should sign that. If they don't sign it, it states right on there, it's not valid. They need to be aware of their loan product. They need to be aware of what's because that is their disclosure. That's their proof. That's showing that they can, and it's a material fact to the transaction that they can purchase it. So it's very, very important to make sure that you have that accounted for, that you've disclosed it, like we said. But there's just some things that agents don't realize the importance of. Yeah. You can say, oh, pre-qual, well, we'll get that later. Well, no, that should be something that they look at with the offer. It's supposed to go with the offer. Same as proof of funds. Anyone can come off the street or say, I'm going to buy that house. Okay, well, show me how.
Yeah.
Right.
It's interesting because I was talking with my team about it. There's these debates. Some agents say, I will never show a home ever without a pre-qualification form. And so forth. So everybody's got to go through all these hoops. And so like last week, so I got this couple moving from Arkansas and they're not buying until May. I know that. I mean, I know their situation, but they're coming out and I'm taking them out Monday, the Monday before Thanksgiving. We're going to go look at homes. And everybody's like, why would you do that? I'm like, because I need to get them to sign that buyer broker agreement. I will take an afternoon and show somebody who hasn't talked to Justin yet and so forth. At least if I can control that.
Yeah. And it's like window shopping. Eye candy. You need to get them motivated.
That's what they call me.
It's
eye candy.
Yeah.
Motivated is the word.
Goodness. Yeah. I have a lot of commentary, but I will keep it to myself. There is such a thing as, and we don't have to wrangle clients in. We don't have to drum up business. We have to drum up excitement, and we have to let people know that possibilities are out there. I say, while families in town, hey guys, sign this form real quick. Let's go check out some new builds. There's a lot of great communities out there, guys. A lot of new builds have really picked up their business, their packaging. The way that they're selling these properties to our clients is amazing. The stuff that they can do, because they are like the warehouses, right? They have all this product to give out, and they have their deadlines that they need to meet. So
End of the year.
it's great. End of the year sales are wonderful.
All right, Claudia, we appreciate it as always, and we will see you in 2026.
2026. Oh my gosh.
All
Thank
right,
you.
all right. We leave you with the quote of the day: "Your passion." Appreciate everybody joining us today. Go out and sell a home.